So welcome to a very quiet Rotherham town centre. It's a nice cold winter's day, but I don't know if the cold's keeping people away, or I don't know if Rotherham itself is keeping people away, because it seems to be this quiet regardless of what the weather's doing. So we're just on our way to Eastwood, and we'll just have a quick look at the market. Here we've got the indoor market on the left, which is going to be redeveloped in the near future, and the covered market has this huge crane, and you can see they've ripped the roof off, and all these big bits which are sticking out of the top, they started to take those down. So I don't know what the actual plan is. I don't know if they're taking that roof off and rebuilding it or putting a new roof on. But I always really like that roof. It always looked really good with the blue sky as a backdrop. Believe it or not, free parking does exist in places like Rotherham. Here in the red zone, you get 2 hours free on weekdays, and you also get free parking all day Saturday and Sunday, or just Saturday I think it says. But down here we've got Tesco, and Tesco's an interesting one because that's now just over 10 years old. And when they built the new Tesco, it was actually part of the planning conditions that they had to provide an hour or two of free parking for any person in the town centre, not just Tesco customers. And they got it changed over the years, and there have been various alterations, and I don't know what the parking arrangements are now. So now we're done in the town centre. We've come to St Leonard's Road in Eastwood, where there's a bit of a derelict looking building, but we've also got a nice looking building over there, which is a former school. And we've got a nice looking church building here, and stood next to me is Tim, and we've I'll come out with Tim to have a wander around Eastwood, and we'll have a bit of a tour. So Tim, what are you expecting to see in Eastwood?
Well, I'm expecting to see like Rotherham's version of Page Hall. That's what I'm understanding. And my view is, are Rotherham Council dealing with it better than Sheffield City Council? Yeah,
because I tend to liken Page Hall to Eastwood, but I'm going to say it's because it does have some of the same social problems like fly tipping, litter, people who perhaps don't fit in with the local community in that sense. But it's probably nowhere near as bad as Page Hall, I'm going to say.
I'm going to say that it was originally a Pakistani area, and then it's our Romanians shoved into it next, and that's the same dynamics going on at Page Hall in Sheffield.
We're on St Leonard's Road. This church here actually has a few names. This one says St Anthony's here, but I think I've also known it as being St Stephen's, so I'm not actually sure who it is. But despite being in a relatively Muslim area, it's nice to see a church. And we've got a bit of we've got some differences in religion, because if we head up the road up there, up towards Ridge Road, there's actually a mosque called Ridge Road Mosque, so it's good to see a variety of things in the area. But you see this building, which there says St Anne's, is that St Anne's Boys School, 1893 I think that says. That's obviously a school from many years ago. It's been derelict for many years, and I don't know who owns it, and I don't know what's going on with it. Of course, the tipping is already apparent, especially outside the derelict building. So here on St Leonard's Road we've got the Unity Centre, and the Unity Centre is owned by Rotherham Ethnic Minority Alliance, and it's a bit of a community centre with offices to rent and things like that. And you can see it's a lovely old school building, but I don't actually know much of the history of it. It was a school of some description, and I don't know if it's related to the one down there. And if we come around, we've got another old building which looks like it probably was a school at some point. But yeah, unfortunately I can't really say much about the history of it, other than that it's been the Unity Centre for probably well over a decade now. So we've got a lovely view of Rotherham in the snow over there, but this is the rest of St Leonard's Road, and it's a fairly typical looking place, to be honest. semi-detached houses. There's not really any litter or anything like that. There's no misbehaviour. It's a very average place. So this is Cottenham Road in Eastwood, where you can see a lovely view over to the other side of Rotherham and beyond Park Gate. But this is a lovely road to ride your bike up. If we go all the way in, we can see Poundland and Primark and Asda and One Beyond and Morrison's. That's all Parkgate retail world, which has took a lot of trade away from Rotherham town centre over the years. But if we turn round, we can see that this is the kind of thing that people complain about in places like Eastwood, and it's the fly tipping. So you can see here we've got a bit of derelict land just on the way up to the mosque, and people have just thrown away the bin.
Can I say something on this, Steve?
Yeah, go on.
Because I come from an area where we've got a particular area where it's disused land, and the locals are absolutely disgusting, some of them. And they're not immigrants either, they're own British people doing it. So, you know, like, I can come to you, whatever's happening around here, maybe nothing to do with any population coming in. I think this is probably just what happens in my community, and it absolutely stinks to me.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like fly tipping. Someone's probably just come with a carload of crap or a bin and just dumped it. So here we've got Ridge Road Mosque in Eastwood, which was built in 2010 apparently. And it's quite a modern building, quite a big building, so it probably attracts a good congregation. And I always think mosque buildings are quite spectacular in their own right. Tim doesn't seem to agree with me on that, but I think they always look good in their own right, but they don't always fit in that well with the traditional British buildings. So coming down Fitzwilliam Road, we've got the Territorial Army Centre. Now, I can't actually tell you that much about it. I don't know what they do here. Do you know what they do here in Eastwood, Tim?
Well, it says REME, which is an engineering thing, I think.
Yeah, it's Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers, I think.
Yeah. I think they did the big, like, bridges and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's quite an old building. I don't know when it's from. I'm going to say probably 1930s, 40s time. But it looks very well looked after and very tidy.
I suppose it's still here after all these years.
So as you come down Fitzwilliam Road into Eastwood Trading Estate, there is actually quite a lot of industry here. We've got a printing company and a car company, and further down we've got the fire station, which is shared with, I believe, the police. So here we've got some fancy looking warehouse buildings, but what might not be blindingly obvious is that this is actually the former Peck House. I did a video on Peck House a year or two ago where it was completely derelict. It literally sat there derelict for probably 20-30 years. Peck's was a department store in Rotherham and this was the head office. It was all boarded up, but they took the boards down and managed to clear the whole place out. And since then, I think they've sort of kept the main structure of the building, but they put all this new material around it and converted it into little mini warehouses and tarmacked a new car park. So it's amazing that you can actually bring some life back into something that was otherwise completely derelict. But as we head down Shore Road, we're coming down to Backer Heating Elements, which are actually closed down and moved to Dinnington now, but they were here for a very long time. And I also did this in my old video. It's a really, really old building, and it looks really almost derelict, but sort of semi in use. And you can see they're starting to knock it down here. I don't know what they've got planned for it, and I don't know how this building was used, because it looked really derelict even when it was still in use. I think this looks sort of early 1900s perhaps. When would you say this first building was, Tim?
I reckon you're probably right, 1900s, 1930s. Probably 1930s, possibly.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to see the old signage still at the top of the building. That's looks like it has what would actually have been probably neon lights, I think, on there. It's a really old sign that's been there forever and probably won't be there much longer. But as we move down the road, we've got this building which is a bit newer, and I don't know how old this is. I think this is probably an extension. This looks probably maybe 1940s or 50s. Is that an old Hallam FM sticker? So this is the corner of the old Backer Electric building. And this was really quite a fancy looking entrance, which sort of concealed this bit, which looks really derelict. The entrance had an old sign and some old chairs, and it looked like it was almost stuck in the 1950s or the 60s, to be honest, but because it's closed down and they've moved, they've ripped it all out, and apparently they're renovating the building, or I think they're knocking down a bit of it, renovating some of it and turning it into a number of smaller business units in the hope that it'll attract small businesses and hopefully create jobs. I just spoke to some people who were involved in it and they were really positive about the development. And of course here's the old KP Nuts factory which moved to Hellaby. So on Fitzwilliam Road there's an assortment of shops, newsagents, jewellery, pizza, Chinese, nursery, car MOT. There's quite a good variety. Welcome to the future. So we're just heading down Milton Road in Eastwood, and you can see there's a Rotherham Council road sweeper out, so they are putting some effort into tidying it up.
Looks like Rotherham Council's a lot more on top of it. Sheffield, this is on Milton.
So interestingly, we've got a very respectable looking telephone box with no graffiti and no mess. And a very old sign. So here's a bit of a disused shop which looks really old, Hussein's second-hand furniture shop. But there is fly tipping, but the first impressions you get in this area are that it's actually fairly tidy in comparison to some bits. Yeah, so Tim and I have been looking at...
I mean, I come from Dinnington and we have our issues.
Yeah.
It's a white working class area, so I am quite tolerant, but this is absolutely...
Yeah.
This will go... I'll do a short on this one. This is... So we've really found... I want to know...
So down here in between Grosvenor Road and Milton Road we've got bags of food which have just been dumped. The gentleman who's showing us around, he's lived in the area all his life and attends mosque around here. We've just seen some rats somewhere. I have seen rats in Eastwood before, and I know a lot of people do complain about it, but Tim's just having a wander down the road. And this is actually quite a big contrast to what you see down on the main road, because we've just had a look down the main road and it's actually a very respectable, you know, everything's clean and tidy and very respectable, and you know, there's no trouble. So there are actually some efforts. You can actually see a council van just down the road where people have actually come to start cleaning up, and unfortunately the council have to do it, but
wagon coming down there.
It is a shame that the council have to do it and we all have to pay for it, really, when people can't look after their own area. So this is a council bin lorry. We've just spoken to the bin man who's been picking it up, and that is one load from this area today. So the bin man's got some of it, but not all of it. And really, that's just going to attract vermin. Rotherham Borough Council do love their enviro crime scenes. Here's a boarded up shop, which I think was a pub. There's a pub, the Britannia Inn. So this is just a path around the back of a lot of old terrace houses, and you can just see people use the little park as just a place to dump rubbish, really. Yeah, this is not fly tipping, I don't think, in the conventional sense. This is just people dumping the rubbish. So here's one of the back streets, and it does indeed look like this has had a lot of fly tipping on it, or at least a lot of rubbish left. and it looks like people have had an attempt at cleaning up. But there is also quite a bit of CCTV around Eastwood to help combat the problem. But whether it does help is another matter. So this building was Eastwood Methodist Church until a number of years ago. Since been bought out and taken over by, well, something. I don't actually know what it is, but they're obviously doing it up. So we're walking back down Fitzwilliam Road, which is the main road out of Rotherham through Eastwood up towards Dalton and Conisbrough. And while the area always looks a bit tatty, it's always fairly clean. And I don't know if that's because people look after it. I mean, there's a dustbin there. I don't know if people look after it or whether the council come and clean it up but don't clean up the back streets. Who knows? And from just here on Fitzwilliam Road, you can see the top of J.E. James's Cycles, which at one time was a fire station. And here we've got a filling station and a Nisa local and a fancy burger place. This is all quite new and modern. But here's an old Rotherham shop called All Types Electric. Been there many years. It looks closed today, but I don't think they went out of business. I think it is still open for business. Probably just shut today.
And look at this one. So that'll be the final bit of the video. What we'll do is, me and Steve will come back here. Hopefully we'll come back here to film it in a more positive light in the future.
So one of the last bits to show you in Eastwood is this school, which was built a good few years ago now. This area around the bottom of Eldon Road actually flooded during the 2007 floods, and this school was built on stilts so that the school can't flood. So we've had a walk around Eastwood, Tim. What do you think of Eastwood in general?
Well, we've got the industrial bit, Steve, that looks okay, and that was the positive side to it. There's jobs. We went along the actual high street, main road bit outside the shops. Yeah, they're a bit run down, but not a lot of deprivation like there was around Page Hall, because that was really upsetting. But walking on the back streets and meeting that gentleman, it was quite shocking really what he showed us. And being outsiders, we could actually say something about it, and nobody said boo. The people are hanging around in quite large numbers, but nobody dare say out to us filming. But if I'd have come from one of the houses and started filming the issues around it, I think I'd have probably got a brick through my window or something.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke to a few people who did seem very concerned about the area, and quite a few of them actually took quite a lot of pride in their own area and want to see it improved. Yeah. So
they didn't see us as a threat either. They saw us as trying to do something positive about it, and we've not come to incite anything. We've come to say enough is enough, and we need a solution. Yeah,
and obviously they've cleaned up for the MP when she comes to visit, and they'll clean up for certain people. And I mean, this has been not known for many years. Eastwood's been a bit problematic for years. It's been in the newspaper for many years. So it's just a case of how can you deal with it after so long.
But I think it's also seeing is believing. I don't think the video's really, because you can't smell anything on a video.
No.
And it's like there's no positive feeling. It's like there are just normal houses that can be as nice as any other house.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with the area, it's the people and what they do.
Yeah, there is a lot of community, both religious and people who've lived there a long time. But to bring us to the end of the video, this here is called a Bailey Bridge. Bailey was a bloke from Rotherham who invented a kind of bridge to go over rivers during the war, and it was designed to be deployable very, very quickly. So they're invented here. This is one of the last few. There is one in Sheffield. Where's the one in Sheffield? It's,
I'm trying to think
near Effingham Road.
Yeah, it's on Effingham. Yeah, Effingham Road, Steve, as you're coming into town.
Yeah, it's near there on the Five Weirs Walk. But this one is in Rotherham, where it was invented, and it's still here many decades later doing its job.